What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here today, and today we're bringing you our Fresno State preview prediction video. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Help me reach that goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of July. It is July 9th. We are currently at 912 subscribers, so we are 88 away. That is, it's a bit of a stretch, but we can do it. We can get there, so help me get there. So hit that subscribe button. But let's go ahead and jump into today's video. So today we're bringing you our Fresno State prediction video. Last year, Fresno State 10-4 overall, 7-1 in the Mountain West. They did lose 4 straight, however, to Oregon State 35-32, at USC 45-17, at UConn 19-14, and at Boise State 40-20. They lose the big guy at quarterback, Jake Haener. That's going to be hard to replace there for them for sure. But they bring back a decent bit. 7 on defense, only 4 on offense. So don't return a single starting receiver. So that could hurt. They also, like I mentioned, lose the quarterback, the tight end, and the running back. But they do get 4 back on that offensive line. Just got to replace the left tackle, and the new replacement will be Torian Penwright. So, not a whole lot returning as far as the offense goes, but a lot of not really inexperienced guys coming in, guys who have some experience at running back. It'll be a junior, Malik Sherrod, at quarterback, Mikey Keene, the sophomore, at tight end, Trey Watson, the junior, at left tackle, Torian Penwright, the junior, wide receiver, the freshman, Jalen Moss, at wide receiver, sophomore Josiah Freeman, and then Eric Brooks, the other senior wide receiver there. So that is one thing. They at least bring in the new guys who didn't start necessarily last year. They're at least going to be they're more experienced. It's not like you're bringing in a bunch of incoming freshmen. And I think Mikey Keene is a very good quarterback. I think that he can, be that guy to replace Jake Haener. He transferred from UCF, so obviously a whole different landscape of the not just the country but college football that he's going to be in, with him going from UCF to Fresno State. So that'll be something interesting to watch. But I do think Fresno State does have a pretty good team heading into the season. So let's go ahead and jump into the schedule. So week 1, they go on the road to Purdue. I do have this game as a loss, though. I just think that Purdue is, even though that they lose their head coach and Jeff Brom to Louisville. Yeah, that's right. Louisville. I still feel like Purdue just has more talent than Fresno State does. And I understand, too, that they lose the quarterback, Aiden O'Connell. That's his name. Sorry, my mind's going a little bit blank here. Aiden O'Connell. I understand they lose him, but at the same time, like we talked about, Fresno State lost Haener. They bring in Mikey Keene. I just feel that Purdue is, more talented of a team. It's also a home game for Purdue. Fresno State will have to travel there, and it's just week 1. A lot of new pieces for both of these teams, but in week 1, I'm going to take the talent in Purdue over Fresno State. Then Fresno State gets Eastern Washington at home. I think this game is a win. I think Eastern Washington is a team that they kind of need to keep a little bit of an eye out on, but not a whole lot, as I think that they should be good, and Fresno State should get the win in this one. I think Eastern Washington is a solid FCS team, but not one that I really expect to push. But we'll see how things go week 1 for Fresno State, how they respond to that, and how that affects the rest of their season, particularly this game right here, because this could be a game, if they go in sleeping on, they could get surprised. But then they go on the road to Arizona State. I have them losing this game, much like the Purdue game. I just think Arizona State is they have more talent. And I think I like Drew Pine a little bit better than Mikey Keene. Keene makes some plays that can win you ball games. He will, but he's also going to make a few plays that that could lose you the ball game. Whereas Pine, he doesn't lose you the ball game, but like he's not going to go out and just win it for you, but he's going to keep you in it. He's going to keep you competitive and not lose the game for you. And so I think to me that's what gives Arizona State the edge here. Then Fresno State gets Kent State at home. I think this is a win. I think they're just the better team purely. I think they have a much better offense. Defense going to have no problems. I think Fresno State rolls in this game and wins it, by a pretty significant margin, I would say. But then they get Nevada. I have this game as a win. I think Nevada is probably one of the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the Mountain West coming into this season. You got New Mexico, Nevada, and Hawaii. Maybe Colorado State or Utah State are my kind of bottom 3, bottom 4. Excuse me. Those are kind of my bottom 3, bottom 4. So I don't really see Fresno State having any trouble here with Nevada, especially when you add on top of that it's a home game for them. I think Fresno State will be perfectly fine here. Then they go on the road to Wyoming. I have this game as a loss. I think this is definitely a winnable game for Fresno State. It's definitely a game I could see them winning. But I do think Wyoming is going to be a pretty solid team this year. I think Fresno State by the end of the year will be a better team, but I think it's going to take Fresno State a little while. I think Wyoming will get the win here in this game. No particular reason, pretty much. I just like Wyoming in this game. I don't really know why, but I like Wyoming in this game. Then they get Utah State at home. I got the win here for Fresno State. Utah State, like I just mentioned, they're one of the bottom 4 or 5 teams in the Mountain West, whereas Fresno State's one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Mountain West. And so I think Fresno State wins this game pretty easily. I just think they're, just a much better team than Utah State is, and I don't think there's really a whole lot of people out there that would argue with that one. But then they get a bye week. Then they get UNLV. To me, UNLV is one of those middle-of-the-pack teams in the Mountain West. Where are you going to finish? You're going to finish in the middle. You can make a play to finish top 4, but you could also, have a few things go wrong and end up finishing bottom 4. So with that being said, I have Fresno State picking up the win here against UNLV. I just think that UNLV is not to the point yet where Fresno State is. They're just not there, in my opinion. I think Fresno State is one of those teams up there with Air Force where you can pretty much count on them to win 8 or 9 games a season. It's just going to happen. That's just something that they're going to do every season. And so, I think that Fresno State is just on another level than UNLV in the conference, and I think UNLV probably finishes somewhere around, between 5 and 7, and I think Fresno State finishes 3 or higher. So I like Fresno State in this game. I just think they have more talent, more offensive firepower. Then they get Boise State. I have this game as a loss. To me, Boise State is still the top team in this conference. I do know, Fresno State beat them in the conference championship last year, 28-16 at Boise State, but that's just not going to happen this time. They already played once in the season. Boise State beat them 40-20. It's just one of those things where whenever you play a team twice, the second team or the team that won the first one is going to have a very hard time regardless of winning the second time. And so I think it was more one of those situations, and I think Boise State will be fine again in this game. I think they will beat Fresno State by 14-plus points. Taylon Green in that offense is just going to be unstoppable for the most part this season. So good luck, Fresno. But, I think it's a game that you could keep interested, potentially win it, but I just don't see it. Then they go on the road to San Jose State. I have this game as a win for Fresno State. I just don't see the Spartans being able to really, play against this high level of talent that Fresno State has. I think they're just more talented, just plain and simple as that. I think they're more talented. I think they're better than San Jose State is. Then they get New Mexico at home. This is a win. I think New Mexico is, down there like we talked about, probably is the worst team in the Mountain West. This one doesn't really need much, doesn't really need much explanation. So now on to the final game at San Diego State. And I have this game as a win for Fresno State. I think this is the game that puts them. I think these teams are going to be pretty similar teams talent-wise. I think they're going to have pretty similar records. But I think this is the game that puts Fresno State just a tiny little notch above San Diego State. I just like Fresno State a little bit better in this matchup. Even though it is on the road at San Diego State, I think Fresno's offense is going to be just a little bit better. And at the end of the day, to me, that's going to make all the difference. But I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment those thoughts and opinions down below. Help me reach out 1,000 subscribers by the end of July. We're getting there. We're getting close. So help me out with all that. Once again, I appreciate all of you guys, and we will